The woman who tested his walls. Her name was Valentina. She was further along in recovery than he was, 7 years clean from her own addiction, with the calm confidence of someone who has walked through fire and come out the other side. They met at a GA meeting. She was speaking, he does not remember about what, and he could not stop looking at the back of her head, at her long dark hair, at the way her hands moved when she talked. It's not a good idea to date people in the program, she told him afterward, drinking coffee around the corner. I'm full of bad ideas, he said. So am I, she said. And that was their start. They moved in together. They made plans. She was the piece of his life he had not known was missing, the thing that made the buzzing in his head go quiet. Love, he discovered, was something that could calm the noise. At his birthday party, their friends gave him scratch cards as a joke. 27 cards, brightly colored, the kind of thing that normal people see as harmless fun. His girlfriend did not see harmless fun. He had done the work, but he also understood she was an addict too, and trust between addicts is always conditional, always provisional, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. He cut up the cards, all 27. He did it in front of her, the scissors slicing through the bright foil, and when he was done, she kissed him and whispered that she was proud. He kept one card. It was in his pocket. He had palmed it during the cutting, a reflex so fast he barely noticed himself doing it, and later that night, alone in the bathroom, he scratched it with a coin. He lost. He threw it away. He told no one. His girlfriend found the bank statement a month later. £50,000. The second installment of his mother's inheritance, sitting in an account Sonny had never mentioned. Was not a lie exactly. He had told her about the trust, had told her the money was restricted, but he had not told her the amount. He had not told her because he knew, on some level, that the knowledge would become a temptation, and the temptation would become a need, and the need would become a spiral. He had already started gambling again. Small amounts, nothing that would trigger the bank alerts, just enough to feel the rush. She stood in the kitchen with the statement in her hand. I found a scratch card in your jacket, she said, and I found this. Sonny opened his mouth to explain. No explanation came. I hid one too, she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were wet. One card. I was going to scratch it myself. I was that close. And I thought if I'm this close, and I'm supposed to be the strong one, what chance do you have? She left that night. She took her clothes. She took the French press she had brought when she moved in. She left the key on the counter. Sonny sat in the empty flat and looked at his phone. The gambling apps were blocked, but the debt was not. He had borrowed again. He had lost £32,000 total, and the last installment of his mother's inheritance, the final £75,000, would not come if he failed the conditions. He had already failed. He just had not been caught yet. He wrote a note on an old alumni magazine. Gabriella, it's not your fault. Please make sure she gets the flat. He dressed carefully. A burgundy suit with a shrunken jacket, white patent wingtips with no socks, his hair in a high topknot. He did not wear a coat, even though it was cold, because a coat might restrict his movement. He needed to be able to run or jump or whatever the moment required. He lay down in the spare bedroom, the room where Luna had died. He closed his eyes and tried to feel her presence. He heard nothing, just the hum of the refrigerator, just the distant traffic, just the silence of a mother who was gone. At the station, he stood at the platform edge. The train was coming. He knew it was. He could feel the vibration in the soles of his wingtips. He took a step forward, and then an old woman fell at his feet. The track bed. The clock reads 7:05 and 30 seconds. Sonny is on his feet. He has released Mrs. Worth's hand. He is looking down at the track bed, at the body of the man who is not moving, at the headlights growing brighter in the tunnel's mouth. He jumps. The drop is 6 feet. The gravel is loose under his wingtips. He stumbles, catches himself, starts jogging toward Liam. The body is 40 meters away. The train is further than that, but trains close distance faster than humans do. Behind him, on the platform, the old woman's breath has become a thin whistle. The medical student has broken free of his lashback and is stumbling toward her. The mother has set her son down and is screaming something Sonny cannot hear. Badback is still frozen, his mouth still open, the words still caught in his throat. Sonny puts his hands under Liam's arms. He tries to lift. The man is dead weight. Sonny is not strong enough. The train is coming. We could both die, Sunny says aloud, to no one, to the mouse that has retreated to its crevice, to the newspaper that flutters one last time and is crushed beneath the approaching wheels. Together. He does not know if the thought is a plan or a prayer. The clock reaches 7:06. Somewhere above the station, a narrator who has been watching this whole time, who has seen all 4 previous deaths at this platform, who has promised a 5th, waits for the moment to arrive. One of the 5 will die, but which one is not yet certain? Episode 3, The Businessman's Reckoning. On the tracks, the gambler is losing. He has the unconscious man by the armpits, his wingtips sliding on the loose gravel, his back screaming. The blood from the businessman's scalp has made the stones slick, and each time the young man pulls, the body shifts an inch, then settles back into its own weight. The headlights from the tunnel mouth are no longer distant circles of light. They are full and white and growing. The clock on the station wall reads 7:06 and 36 seconds. Sunny sees the blood properly now, not just its darkness, but its volume, spreading in a wide, glistening pool that reflects the approaching headlights. He thinks, briefly, of his mother's silence in the spare bedroom, of the hum of the refrigerator, of the fact that he came here to die and instead found a stranger's blood on his hands. We could both die, he says again, to no one. Behind him, on the platform, Badback has finally found his voice. Man on the tracks! He shouts, but his voice is thin, swallowed by the fire alarm that is still screaming. The medical student has reached Mrs. Worth and is pressing 2 fingers to her neck, feeling for a pulse that is there but weak. To-do list is on the stairs, one shoe off, her ankle swelling against the tight leather of the other. The train's arrival has been moved forward. The announcement crackles. The 7:06 service is now expected at 7:08, 1 minute earlier than the last estimate, 1 minute less for the gambler to drag a body 40 meters in wingtip shoes. Emma is on the platform edge now, her son's hand clenched in hers. She is looking down at the tracks, at the man who fathered her child, at the blood that is spreading beneath him. She does not jump. She does not call out. She stands with the boy and watches. The twins who shared everything. Now we go into the life of Liam, the businessman lying unconscious on the tracks, the man who is about to die. He was born in 1970 in a Manchester hospital, second of 2. His brother Danny came first, smaller, bluer, the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. The doctors worked on the first twin for 11 minutes before they got him breathing. By the time Liam emerged, pink and howling, the damage to Danny's brain had already been done. Cerebral palsy, a tightness in the limbs that would never fully release, a body that would always need care. The man who was their father did not stay. He stood in the maternity ward, looked at his 2 sons, one perfect, one broken, and left. He did not pack a bag. He did not leave a note. He simply walked out of the hospital and did not come back. At 7, Liam asked his mother where the man had gone. She did not answer. He asked again at 9. The silence was the same. Their mother, Doreen, did not break. She was a cashier at Tesco during the day and a cleaner at an office block at night. She had hands that were always raw from bleach and a face that was always tired. She raised 2 boys in a 2-bedroom flat with a shared bathroom down the hall. She never complained. She could not afford to. Tea is the drink of kings, she told them, every morning, pouring from a pot that was always chipped. Liam, at 6 years old, took this literally. He believed that kings, actual kings with crowns and castles, drank tea exclusively. His brother even then understood what their mother meant, that tea was all they could afford, and so they must treat it as a luxury. This was the difference between them. Liam saw the world as it appeared. Danny saw the world as it was meant to be understood. Doreen's rule was absolute. Liam's job was Danny. Companies, not to love him, not to tolerate him, to protect him, to lift him when he fell, to carry his books, to push his chair, to stand between him and the world that would mock him, pity him, dismiss him. This was not a request. It was the law of their household, as fixed as gravity. And Liam obeyed. He became his brother's body. He learned to anticipate Danny's needs before Danny voiced them. He learned to read the subtle shifts in his brother's posture that meant pain was coming, or fatigue, or the particular humiliation of a body that would not obey its owner. He learned to carry Danny without making him feel carried. But children grow, And obligations that feel sacred at 6 become heavy at 13. At 13, Liam started going out without Danny. Nothing dramatic. A walk to the shops, a football game in the park. He would tell himself he was giving his brother space, but he knew the truth. He was giving himself space. He was tired of being a bodyguard. He wanted to be a boy. Danny noticed. Danny always noticed. "I know you need him, lad," Dorian said to the younger twin one night when Liam was out with friends. "So, make him need you more." Danny stored those words away. He was 12 years old. He had already learned that his body was a problem to be solved, and now he understood that his brother was also a problem he could solve. At 18, Liam worked 3 jobs. He stacked shelves at Tesco, he washed dishes at a pub, he delivered newspapers before dawn. The money went to Danny's education. His brother was the smart one, the one who could make something of himself, the one whose mind was untouched by the condition that bound his body. Liam's body was strong. Liam's body could work. One night, exhausted, Liam came home to find Doreen waiting up. She wanted to know if he had picked up Dennis' new prescription. He had forgotten. He had been working a double shift. He had not slept in 2 days. "I'm doing everything," Liam said, his voice cracking. "I'm doing everything, and it's still not enough. When do I get to live? When do I get to be the one who needs something?" He did not know Danny was awake. He did not know his brother was listening from the bedroom they shared, the thin wall doing nothing to muffle the words. He did not know that Danny was crying, silently, the way he had learned to cry so that no one would feel obligated to comfort him. Danny made up his mind that night. He would not be Liam's burden anymore. He would be Liam's partner. He would make his brother need him. The quiz night solution. The idea came to Danny fully formed. Pub quizzes. His body might not cooperate, but his mind was a machine. He could store facts the way other people stored coins in a jar. He could recall the capital of Burkina Faso, the atomic weight of carbon, the name of every actor who had played Doctor Who. Liam would be his hands, writing the answers, raising the card, collecting the winnings. They entered their first quiz at a pub called the Red Lion. The prize was £50. They won by 12 points. They won again the next week, and the next. They started traveling to bigger pubs, bigger prizes. They won £500 at a regional competition. They won £2,000 at a national one. They became known. The twins who never lost, the cripple and the carrier. Doreen watched them leave each Tuesday night, her hands still raw from bleach, her face still tired, and she allowed herself a small, private pride. Her boys were becoming something. Her boys were finding their way. She died on a Thursday. She was watching stars in their eyes with her sons, a cup of tea cooling on the table beside her. A brain aneurysm. She was gone before the tea was. Her last thought was of her lads. The brothers buried her on a grey Manchester morning. They used their quiz winnings and Doreen's savings, £4,000 hidden in a tea tin, the drink of kings made literal, to start a business. Execution. Averty. They called it D-Tech. Medical equipment, assistive devices, technology for bodies that did not cooperate. Danny designed, Liam sold. Within 5 years, they were millionaires. The hero and the excuse. Liam constructed a story about himself, and the story was this. He was the good brother. He was the one who had sacrificed his own life to care for Danny. He was the one who had lifted and carried and worked and never asked for anything in return. He was the hero. The media loved this story. The brothers were profiled in magazines, interviewed on television, held up as an example of what unconditional love looked like. Liam gave speeches about duty and family. He posed for photographs with his arm around Danny's shoulders. He told the story of their childhood, of Doreen, of the quizzes, in a way that made him the central figure. The protector, the saint. Danny tolerated it. He knew the truth. He knew that Liam needed to be the hero the way other men needed oxygen. He knew that his brother's identity was built on a foundation of sacrifice, and that if the sacrifice were ever questioned, the whole structure would collapse. Ugh. So Danny let him have the story. He played the grateful brother. He accepted the arm around his shoulders. But Danny was running out of patience. On Oprah, when asked what he thought of his brother's devotion, Danny's mouth formed the words, "Well done, you cunts." The producers heard, "Well done, you're kind." Oprah beamed, Liam beamed, and there in the flicker across Liam's eyes was the knowledge. Danny was not grateful, had never been grateful, was tired of being the object of Liam's heroism. Liam had 3 wives. The pattern was always the same. He would find a woman who needed rescuing, a struggling artist, a single mother, a refugee from a bad marriage, and he would rescue her. He would give her money, stability, access to his world. He would be the hero. And then, when she no longer needed rescuing, when she became independent or successful or simply boring, he would discard her. Elizabeth, Trisha, Beth lasted the longest because she understood the game. She knew to stay fragile. "You're an ironclad excuse," Liam told Danny once, drunk, after Trisha left. "You know that. You're the reason I can walk away from anything. Sorry, I have to take care of my brother." Works every time. Danny heard the words and stored them. Ironclad excuse. He had been reduced to a get-out clause. The central relationship of Liam's life was not love. It was narrative convenience. The woman who made her own deal. Emma arrived at DTech as CFO, and Liam misread her immediately. He saw a woman who needed rescuing, sharp, yes, competent, but lonely, guarded, clearly damaged by something in her past. He saw a new wife. He saw another chance to be the hero. Emma saw a means to an end. "I have a proposal for you," she said, sitting behind her desk late one night. "I want your genetics." "I don't need your money. I'm not interested in your wife or your kids. My child will not knock on your door 18 years from now. If I do this right, he'll never care about you at all." Liam leaned against her desk, moved a strand of hair behind her ear. He was already constructing the story, the lonely woman, the generous man, the child who would bind them together. "You're strange, Emma," he said. "What's that got to do with it?" "Everything." He kissed her. She let him, but she did not feel what he felt. Emma was not very good at feelings. The boy was born 8 months later. Emma did not tell Liam. She did not list him on the birth certificate. She built a life around her son, a fortress with bolts on the outside of doors, and she told no one the truth about the father. When Liam found out years later, he did not forgive her. He did not forgive anyone who denied him the opportunity to be necessary. The enemy who loved Danny. Danny met Brendan at a physiotherapy session. Brendan was not a businessman. Brendan was not impressed by money. Brendan was a man who understood how bodies worked and did not work, who could talk to Danny about muscle tension and nerve damage without pity or condescension. Danny met Brendan at a physiotherapy session. They fell in love slowly, the way bodies learn to trust each other. Liam hated Brendan from the beginning. He told himself it was suspicion the physiotherapist was too smooth, too attentive, too interested in Danny's finances. He told himself he was protecting his brother, but what he was protecting was his role. If Danny did not need him, what was Liam? If Danny was loved by someone else, what was Liam's sacrifice worth? The wedding was in a country house in Dorset. The gardens were in full bloom. Danny was in a wheelchair decorated with flowers. Brendan was in a gray suit. There were 70 guests, including the chef and the gardener, who had become like family. Liam arrived late. He was holding a folder of bank records. "He's stolen from you," Liam announced to the room. £500,000, over 3 years. He's been siphoning money into an account in his name. "I have the statements." The groom went pale. Danny's face did not change. The guests froze. The string quartet stopped playing. "Liam," Danny said, very quietly, "this is my wedding." "He's a thief." "He's my husband." Or he was going to be. Liam did not hear him. Liam had already crossed the room. He had already grabbed the groom by the jacket. He had already swung his fist. The punch connected with Brendan's jaw. The groom staggered backward into a table of champagne glasses. The crash was enormous. The gardener, John, a large man with hands like shovels, lunged at Liam. The chef joined the gardener. Liam fought them both, his suit jacket tearing, his nose streaming blood, still shouting about the money, still insisting he was protecting his brother, still unable to see that he was destroying the only thing he claimed to love. Danny reached for the emergency call button on his chair. His hand was steady. His eyes were dry. "Stop," he said. No one stopped. Danny pressed the button. The medical alarm began to shriek. Then Danny did something he had been learning to do his whole life. He faked a collapse. His body went limp. His head lolled forward. He looked, for all the world, like a man whose heart had just given out. The room went silent. Liam released the groom. He stumbled to Danny's side. His face was a mask of terror, real terror, the terror of a man who is about to lose the person who defines him. "Danny," he whispered. "Danny? No." The twin opened his eyes. He looked directly at Liam. His voice was clear, deliberate, each word a separate blow. "You should know me better than that." The room exhaled. Brendan crouched beside Dennis's chair. The guests began to murmur. Liam stood frozen, his hands still outstretched, his face still wet with blood and fear. "I don't need you," Danny said. "I have never needed you. You needed me to need you. That's not the same thing." Liam did not speak. He could not. The story he had been telling himself for 40 years had just been read back to him, and every word was wrong. "Sign away your share of the business," his brother said, his voice dropping so that only Liam could hear. "Or I'll tell everyone what really happened today. A hate crime accusation. A disabled man attacked at his own wedding. Think about how that story plays, Liam. Think about who you become in that version." Liam signed the papers the next morning. The blackmail and the room. Liam drove from Danny's wedding to Emma's house. He was a man who had just lost his identity. He needed a new one. He needed to be necessary to someone. He found her drunk, in a silk gown, with a bandaged eyebrow and a blood-stained cushion at her feet. He offered to take care of her. He offered to take care of the boy. He offered to be the hero. Emma stood up, tore the silk dress from her body, and stepped out of it. She showed him her scars, the bruises, the burns, the thin red scratch marks that covered her arms and legs. Her skin looked like a battlefield. "You haven't seen what I've done to the boy," she said. Liam left that night, but he came back. He came back because he had discovered something in Ema's house that changed everything. A room. A room at the end of the hall with 2 bolts on the outside. A room that belonged to his son. He unbolted the door. He stepped inside. The room was obsessively ordered. Toys placed in straight lines across the floor. Books stacked by height. Cheerios arranged in a perfect grid. A Dr. Seuss book open on the bed, and on every page, in the margins, in the spaces between the drawings, the same 3 words written over and over in a child's hand. "I hate you. I hate you. I hate you." Liam stood in that room and understood that his son was not normal. The boy was something else entirely. And he could use that. He confronted Emma. He told her that unless she got Danny to invest in his new project, a global deal with young brains, the kind of opportunity that could save lives, he would have the child taken away. He would tell the authorities about the bolts on the door. He would tell them about the scars on her body. He would take her son. Emma waited until Liam left. Then she redrew her lipstick, picked up her phone, and placed a call. The reception went in and out. "I think so," she said, when asked if she was still there. "I think so." 7:08. The train is coming. The gambler has dragged the businessman 20 meters. The gravel is steep, the body is heavy, and the young man's arms have gone numb. He can hear the train now, the low thunder of it filling the tunnel, the high whine of the brakes as the driver sees what is on the tracks. On the platform, Mrs. Worth wheezes into a mobile phone. Man on the tracks. The medical student has his hands pressed to her chest, feeling the erratic flutter of her heart. Bad Back is shouting something no one can hear. To-do list is weeping. Emma is running. She has released her son's hand. She is sprinting along the platform edge, her coat flapping behind her. She is not running toward Liam. She is running toward the boy. Gideon is near the yellow line. He has left his tablet on a bench. He is standing very still, watching the train approach with a kind of detached curiosity. He does not seem afraid. He does not seem to understand what fear is. In the cab, the driver sees the young man's shape on the gravel, sees the body at the edge of the light. He pulls the emergency brake with both hands. The wheels lock. Sparks fountain past the windscreen. Into the screaming of metal, he begins to speak the Hail Mary, a prayer from childhood, the words coming without thought. "Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee." A tear tracks down his cheek. He does not wipe it away. The countdown begins. 10 seconds. 9, 8. The gambler is still pulling. He will not let go. He does not know why. He came here to die, and now he is fighting to save a stranger. 7, 6, 5. Emma reaches her son. She grabs him. She pulls him back from the edge with a strength she did not know she had. For 1 second, one impossible second, mother and child are a single shape, a single weight, a single refusal to let go. 4, 3. Liam is on his feet. He does not know how. His skull is fractured. Blood is pouring down his neck. He cannot see clearly. The world is a smear of light and noise and pain, but he sees a shape on the platform, a small shape, a shape that looks, in his concussed, desperate, story-seeking mind, like Danny, like his brother, like the person he was born to protect. Liam lunges. His body, trained for 40 years to lift and carry and shield, does what it was made to do. He pushes the shape, the boy, his son, the child who does not call him father, away from the edge. He pushes him to safety. 1. Liam loses his balance. The gravel gives way beneath his feet. He falls backward onto the tracks into the light. The sound. The train cannot stop. Trains do not stop. They slow, they brake, they scream against the rails. But a train traveling at speed needs more than a few seconds to halt. The driver has done everything he can. It is not enough. The train stops. The young man is on his back in the gravel 20 meters down track. The train's front skirt a body length away. He does not remember moving. His arms are still outstretched, still shaped around the ghost of the businessman's chest. Gravel ticks against the hot wheels. A horn sounds somewhere above him. He is alive. Emma is holding her son. She has wrapped her body around him, shielding him from the sight of what has happened. But she cannot shield him from the sound. No one on the platform can be shielded from the sound. The newspaper that fluttered in the draft is crushed beneath the wheels. The mouse that had crept out to investigate the chaos retreats into its crevice. The passengers on the train feel a jolt, a shudder, the sickening sensation of impact. Liam's last word was Danny. Then, oh fuck, then nothing. Liam is dead. His body lies beneath the third carriage, his wingtip shoes still on his feet, one laced, one not. The platform is silent except for the ringing of the fire alarm and the distant wail of approaching sirens. The gambler is still on his knees on the track bed, arms still holding the shape of the body he could not save. The medical student has Mrs. Worth's pulse under his fingers. It is weak but steady. She is breathing. She will survive. The mother releases her son. The boy is unharmed. He looks at the stopped train, at the people running, at the chaos of the platform, and his expression does not change. He does not ask what happened. He does not cry. At the moment of impact, Liam's phone was crushed. The screen shattered, the memory wiped, but in the seconds before the train hit, there was one unread email. The deal, the global investment he had blackmailed Emma to secure, the one Danny had refused to fund, was a fraud. The email was from one of the data analysts on the project. The subject line was one word, WARNING. The body of the email was 3 sentences. The numbers are off. The data has been manipulated. Do not invest. Liam never read it. The police will find the phone among the wreckage. They will not look at the emails. They will bag it as evidence and file it away. And the truth about the deal, the fraud, the manipulation, the disaster that is still waiting to happen will remain buried. For now. The clock on the station wall reads 7:28. Someone is dead. 4 people are alive. And the world, indifferent and relentless, keeps moving. Paramedics arrive at 7:32. Emma is taken off the platform on a gurney, still conscious, still holding Gideon's hand through the railing. She is concussed. She is hysterical. She is acutely aware that her future with the boy stretches ahead of her, unchanged, unsoftened, still a battlefield. But he is alive. She is alive. The man who tried to take her son is dead, and she does not know what to feel about that. Her son is wrapped in a silver blanket and given a cup of hot chocolate. He drinks it methodically, without pleasure. A young police officer kneels beside him and asks if he is okay. The boy looks at her with the same detached curiosity he gave the train. Yes, he says. Can I have another hot chocolate? The gambler is pulled off the tracks by 2 firefighters. His shoulder is dislocated. His suit is ruined. He is shaking, but he is alive. He does not know if he is relieved or disappointed. He does not know if he wanted to survive. He only knows that he did not let go of the stranger's body until someone made him let go. Mrs. Worth is revived by paramedics. Her heart, ancient and stubborn, refuses to stop. She will spend 3 days in the hospital. She will ask repeatedly about the young man who helped her. She will not learn his name until much later. The family of the dead man will be notified. Danny will receive the call in the house he shares with Brendan, the house where the wedding was supposed to end in celebration. He will sit down very slowly. He will put his hand on his husband's knee. He will not cry, not yet, but something in his chest will crack open, something he has been holding together for 40 years, and into that crack will flood grief and relief and guilt and the terrible knowledge that he is free. The narrator does not moralize. The narrator does not tell you what to feel. The narrator simply observes. A man died on these tracks, believing something that was not true. He died saving a son who did not know him and a brother who did not need him. He died the way he lived, trying to be the protector, trying to be necessary, trying to make his sacrifice mean something. He died for a story that was never real. And the email that would have changed everything, the warning he never opened, the disaster that is still coming, even now, even after the body has been taken away and the platform has been hosed down and the trains have begun to run again. The mouse returns to the platform. The newspaper has been swept into a bin. A new paper arrives on a bench, carried by a passenger who does not know what happened here. The world continues. It always does. But the ghost of the businessman will linger. In the final episode, we will see what happens to everyone left behind and the truth Liam never knew. Episode 4, Aftermath, The Living and the Dead. Paramedics work on Mrs. Worth on the platform floor. Her heart, ancient and stubborn, has restarted. She is breathing on her own. The medical student still has his hands pressed to her chest, though he is no longer doing compressions. He is just holding her, waiting for the stretcher, speaking to her in a language she does not understand but a tone she recognizes. "Thank you," she will croak months later when she sees him again. But first, there is chaos. Twitter announces the death before the body is removed. A person hit by a train at King's Cross. Delays on all lines. Avoid the area. The replies fill with a familiar pattern. Jokes, outrage, prayers, demands for better platform barriers, someone calling it a selfish way to die, someone else calling that person a monster. The dead man is not yet identified. He is a disruption first, a tragedy second, a person third. That is how these things work. Emma is taken off the platform on a gurney. She is the first removed because she is the loudest, hysterical, concussed, clutching Gideon's hand through the railing of the stretcher. A paramedic tries to separate them. She screams. The paramedic stops trying. The boy walks beside the gurney, his face blank, his hand limp in his mother's grip. He does not cry. He does not ask questions. He looks, for all the world, like someone who has just watched an interesting documentary and is ready for lunch. A young police officer struggles to cordon off the platform. Her caution tape keeps snapping in the wind. She ties it to a bench, to a pillar, to the leg of the ticket machine. It breaks again. She is 23 years old, and this is her first death. She will see the severed arm in her dreams for weeks. She will tell no one about the watch, the man's wristwatch, still attached to the arm, still working, still reading the correct time. That detail will haunt her more than the blood. A watch that kept ticking after its owner stopped. The crowd presses against the cordon. They hold up phones. They record video. They will post it later, with warnings about graphic content, with captions about how fragile life is, with prayer hands emojis. Some of them will forget within the hour, some of them will not. The survivors, what happened next? To-do list leaves the station at 9:14. She does not wait for a taxi. She walks 3 blocks to a hotel bar, checks in with her credit card, and orders a whiskey. She is still wearing her work clothes. She is still carrying her work bag. She has 63 unread emails, and she will not open any of them. In the hotel bathroom, she removes her high-waisted tummy control undershorts. She rolls them into a ball. She shoves them into the bin. Then she pulls them out again, because housekeeping will judge her, and stuffs them into her bag. She returns to the bar. Can a man at the next stool asks her if she is okay. She is not okay. She sleeps with him anyway. In the morning, she takes a taxi home and cries in the shower. She tells her husband she was working late. She does not know why she says this. She does not know why she did any of it. She only knows that she saw a man die, and for a moment afterward she felt more alive than she had in years, and now she feels nothing again. Badback is taken to hospital on a gurney of his own. He is not faking this time. When he lunged to catch Emma and Gideon, something in his lower spine shifted. The MRI will show a genuine herniation. He will be prescribed codeine. He will like how codeine makes him feel. His wife, who was leaving him, postpones the divorce when she hears he is a hero. She visits him in the hospital. She holds his hand. She says she is proud of him. The marriage would last another 18 months before she leaves for good. By then, Badback is taking twice his prescribed dose and lying to his doctor about the pain. The medical student who helped Mrs. Worth gives false information to the police. He swaps 2 digits in his phone number. He gives an old address. He does this without hesitation, without guilt, because he knows what happens to undocumented immigrants who become visible. He saved a woman's life tonight. In the years that follow, he will save more lives, but he will do it from the shadows, never quite belonging, never quite safe. He walks away from the station at 8:47, hands still trembling from the fire alarm that triggered his war memories, and he does not look back. Mrs. Worth months later. Mrs. Worth is visiting her son and grandsons months after the platform. She stands at the gate of a house on a quiet, leafy road in Wimbledon. She can hear the boys' voices before she sees them, Rafi and Roby, shouting in the back garden, throwing gravel at a fence. She follows the sound around the side of the house. Horatio, the dog she ran over 13 years ago, lies on a cushion under a tree. He is old now, bony and gray, his hindquarters supported by a mobility harness. He lifts his head when she approaches. His tail thumps once, twice against the cushion. "Hello, old chap," she says. She scratches behind his ear. The dog closes his eyes. The boys stop throwing gravel. They stare at her. They have not seen her in years, not since the day she told them about autopsies, not since Rafi used a pizza cutter to pretend to operate on his brother. They are teenagers now. Rafi is tall and angular. Roby still has a scar on his chest. "Grandma," Rafi says, "it is not a question." He remembers her. Nicholas comes out of the house. He is grayer than she remembers. "Fie, Grandma." His shoulders are heavier. Livy's death is still fresh on him, a weight that is not yet settled. He looks at his mother standing in his garden, scratching the dog she nearly killed, and he does not know what to say. Neither does she. She was never very good with words. "You came," he says. "I did," she says. Inside, over tea, the boys ask her about death. They have been asking everyone since their mother died. They asked their father, who tried to be honest and failed. They asked their teachers, who gave them pamphlets. They asked the vicar, who talked about heaven. Now they ask their grandmother, the forensic pathologist, the woman who has spent more time with dead bodies than with living people. "What happens when you die?" Rafi asks. Mrs. Worth sets down her teacup. She thinks about the platform. She thinks about the moment her heart stopped and the paramedics' paddles brought her back. She thinks about what she saw or didn't see in those minutes of clinical death. "I believe," she says slowly, "that you go to your happiest memory, the one you loved most. And you stay there." Rafi considers this. "What was yours?" "My heart stopped for 3 minutes on a train platform," she says, "and I saw nothing. No light, no tunnel, no faces." She pauses. "But I think if I had stayed dead a little longer, I would have remembered something. Perhaps the day I first held your father. He was so small. He fit in one hand. I had never held anything so alive." Nicholas makes a sound. It is not quite a sob. Mrs. Worth looks at him, and for the first time in decades, she does not look away. "I'm sorry," she says. I could not be what you needed. I did not know how." Nicholas takes her hand. "I know, Mom." She cries then. Not the tidy, restrained crying of a woman who has spent her life among the dead. The messy, ugly crying of a woman who has spent her life running from the living and has finally stopped. Rafi and Roby stare at their grandmother with the frank, unembarrassed curiosity of teenage boys who have seen worse. Horatio thumps his tail against the floor. The estrangement does not end in one afternoon, but it begins to end. That is enough. Sonny the voice. Sonny is in hospital, his shoulder dislocated, trying to understand why he is alive. The doctors have reset the joint. The painkillers have dulled the edges. He lies in a curtained bay, listening to the beeping of monitors and the muffled conversations of nurses, and he cannot stop replaying the moment, the weight of the businessman's body. The gravel beneath his feet, the headlights in the tunnel. Sonny did not let go. He could have let go. He wanted to let go. He came here to die, and instead he held on to a stranger until someone made him release his grip. His phone buzzes. Gabriella asking if he is all right. He does not answer. Valentina has not called. He does not expect her to. He closes his eyes. The beeping fades. The hospital murmurs soften. And then, in the quiet, he hears a voice he has not heard in 3 years. "Tell me what happened," Luna says. "Mama," he whispers, "tell me everything." And he does. He tells her about the debts, about Valentina, about the platform, about the moment he stood at the edge feeling nothing, feeling ready, and the old woman fell at his feet and he knelt without deciding to kneel. He tells her about dragging the stranger's body across the gravel. He tells her he does not know if he wanted to survive. "I trust you," she says. Those words, the words she never said in life. The words he needed most. "I don't trust myself," he says. "I know," Luna says. "Trust me anyway. I'm your mother. I'm always right." He laughs. It hurts his shoulder. He does not care. He will leave the hospital 2 days later. He will attend Gamblers Anonymous meetings. He will find a job. He will meet a woman who is kind and patient and does not gamble. He will become a father. He will hold his daughter in the room where his mother died and tell her about the grandmother she will never meet. He will say, "She trusted me. That was the best thing anyone ever did," and he will mean it. Gideon, the burned house. Now we return to Gideon, 9 years after the platform. He is 15, being picked up from youth detention. Emma drives. Gideon sits in the passenger seat, leaning on his elbow, staring out the window. He is taller now, his face sharper, his body beginning to fill out into a man's shape. But his eyes are the same flat, watchful, curious without warmth. He has been in the facility for 2 years. He set a fire. "What happened to them?" Gideon asks. She keeps her eyes on the road. "Who?" "The family. The ones in the house. They moved away." "Where?" "I don't know. They didn't want contact." He considers this. Can we see the house? The mother should say no. She should drive home. She should pretend, as she has pretended for 15 years, that her son is normal and her life is manageable and the scars on her body are from accidents. But she is tired. She is so tired. She drives to the site. The house is gone. The lot is fenced over, weedy, marked with a sign that warns of hazardous materials. The neighbors' houses on either side are intact, but you can see the scorch marks on their walls, the ghost of the fire that jumped the gap. Gideon stands at the fence, his hands in his pockets, studying the blackened concrete slab where Anne and Ollie's front door used to be. 2 years ago, he was 13. He had been expelled from the therapeutic school where Emma had placed him, the school she had worked so hard to afford, the school that was supposed to fix him. He came home. He was angry in a way that had no direction, no target, just pressure looking for release. One night, he walked to his aunt's house. He poured lighter fluid through the mail slot. He struck a match. Anne was inside. Ollie was inside. Their daughter Louise was inside. Their dog was inside. Anne was pregnant. The fire spread fast. Anne miscarried from smoke inhalation. Ollie was seriously burned, pulling Louise from her room. Louise was physically unharmed. The dog died. Gideon was found 2 miles away, walking along a canal, his hands in his pockets, his face blank. He told the police he did not know why he did it. He still does not know. "I don't feel things," Gideon says, still looking at the ruin. "Not like other people." Emma stands beside him. She does not contradict him. She has known this for years. She has known it since he was a toddler and did not cry when he fell, since he was 6 and stabbed her in the eye with her own shoe, since she first bolted his door from the outside and heard him throwing himself against it, making sounds that were not quite human. "Are you afraid of me?" he asks. "No," she lies. "I don't want to go back to prison," he says. "I didn't like it. The food was bad." Emma almost laughs, then says, "Then don't set any more fires. That's not really a reason. It's the reason you have," she said. Gideon looks at her. For a moment, just a moment, his face shifts. Something flickers in those flat, watchful eyes. It might be curiosity. It might be the closest thing to connection he can manage. "We're fucked up, Gideon, aren't we?" she says. Something surprises them both. He smiles. A real smile, small and crooked and unexpected. Then he laughs. She laughs too, standing in front of the burned-out house her son destroyed, with the ashes of her sister's life still in the air. She laughs. I brought crackers, Emma says. In the car. Good, Gideon says. I'm hungry. They eat crackers in the car. They do not talk about the fire again. They do not talk about the platform. He does not remember much of that day. The train, the businessman, the moment he stood at the edge of the tracks with the headlights filling his vision. He remembers a shape pushing him. He remembers falling backward. He does not remember Liam's face. He never will. The investment, what Liam never knew. Liam's brother sits down very slowly when he receives the news. He puts his hand on Brendan's knee. He does not cry, not yet, but something in his chest cracks open, something he has been holding together for 40 years. Later, Emma visits him. She tells him about Liam's last meeting with her. She tells him about the project, the global deal with life-saving potential, the scale of what the businessman had been building. She does not tell him about the blackmail. She does not tell him about Gideon's room. She simply says, "Your brother wanted you to invest." Liam's brother makes the investment. He gives Emma back her old job. The money pays for Gideon's therapeutic school. For several years, Gideon does well there. He gets better. He learns to mimic the emotions he cannot feel. End quote. Then the data is exposed as fraud. The project collapses. The school can no longer afford to keep Gideon. He comes home. He sets a fire. The cycle continues. The businessman kept his promise in the end. He took care of Gideon and Emma. He just had to die to make it happen. And even then, the care did not last. The smile years later. Years later, Gideon is 22. He has been released from his second incarceration. His record is sealed because he was a minor, but his reputation follows him. He lives alone in a small flat. He works a job that does not ask questions. He has not spoken to Emma in 8 months. And then, one day, he takes a train to a town he has never visited. He walks to a house he has found online. He rings the bell. Danny opens the door. He is older now, his hair gray, his body thinner than it was. He uses a cane. He looks at the young man on his doorstep and does not recognize him. "Can I help you?" Danny says. Gideon does not speak. He simply smiles, a gap-toothed smile, crooked and unexpected. The smile of a man he never met but inherited anyway. His hand tightens on the cane. He knows that smile. He has known it his whole life. He saw it in the mirror for 40 years. He saw it on his brother's face the day their mother died, the day their business launched, the day Liam punched Brendan at his wedding, Nat. He saw it on the platform in the last seconds of his brother's life, when a concussed brain mistook a son for a twin and pushed him to safety. "Liam," Danny breathes. "My father," Gideon says. "I wanted to meet you." Danny steps back from the door. He does not invite Gideon in, not yet. But he does not close the door either. He looks at this stranger who wears his brother's smile, and he feels something he cannot name. Grief, maybe, or hope, or the beginning of something that might, in time, become forgiveness. "Come in," Danny says. "We'll make tea." Gideon steps inside. Something lost is regained. Something broken begins to mend. It is not a happy ending. This story does not have happy endings, but it is a continuation. The dead man's smile lives on in the son who never knew him, and the brother who lost him finally has a reason to remember him kindly. The platform again. The mouse returns. It creeps out from its crevice beneath the platform edge, nose twitching, whiskers testing the air. The station is quiet now. The caution tape has been removed. The blood has been hosed away. The passengers have been routed to other lines, other trains, other destinations. The body has been taken to a morgue. A new newspaper sits on a bench, left behind by a commuter who ran for his train and forgot it. The front page does not mention the death. The death is already yesterday's news. The world has moved on. The wind picks up. The newspaper lifts from the bench, flutters for a moment in the draft of an approaching train, then settles back down. The mouse freezes, then returns to its work. Another train is coming. Another crowd will gather. Another day will begin and end and begin again. Somewhere in London, Emma is packing a lunch for Gideon, who is home between jobs. Somewhere in Wimbledon, Mrs. Worth is reading to her grandsons. Somewhere in a modest flat, Sonny is rocking his daughter to sleep. Somewhere in a library, Danny is looking at an old photograph of his brother and feeling something close to peace. The dead man is dead. The living are still living. The platform will see more deaths. The narrator promised us that in the beginning, and the narrator keeps promises, but not today. Today, the mouse scavenges, and the newspaper rustles, and the train approaches, and no one falls, no one jumps, no one dies. The 5 passengers have been changed forever. Their stories ripple outward in directions none of them could have predicted. Lamb's sacrifice saved a son who did not know him. Sonny's survival became a daughter's future. Mrs. Worth's cold heart warmed just enough to let in 2 grandsons. Emma's lies held her son together, barely, for a few more years. Danny's grief cracked open and let in a stranger with his brother's smile. That is all. The train arrives, the doors open, the mouse retreats to its crevice, the world continues, indifferent and relentless and, somehow, still full of the fragile, stubborn, improbable hope that keeps people climbing onto platforms and waiting for the next train. The narrator falls silent. The train departs. The newspaper lifts one last time, catches the wind, and is gone. Gideon stands at Danny's door and says nothing. He just smiles that gap-toothed smile, crooked and unexpected, a smile he inherited from a father he never met, a father who died thinking he was saving his brother. Danny sees it, Danny knows it, and something lost begins, very tentatively, to be found. The mouse returns to the platform. A newspaper lifts in the draft of another approaching train. The narrator does not tell you what to feel. The narrator simply shows you the world continuing. That refusal to moralize, to resolve, to hand you a clean verdict is not an accident. It is the whole method. Ilona Bannister is a dual-qualified U.S. attorney and UK immigration solicitor. That fact matters to this novel, but not the way most people think. 5 is not about the law. There are no courtrooms, no cross-examinations, no closing arguments. What Bannister brought from her legal training was not subject matter, it was procedure. Evidence gathering, the sequenced release of information, the way a juror learns a case one witness at a time, each testimony complicating the last, until the simple story you thought you were hearing dissolves into something you cannot quite condemn or absolve. That is the structure of this book. The narrator withholds motive. The narrator offers multiple possible explanations and confirms none of them. The narrator speaks to you directly. Pause here, consider their positions. Please do not judge this mother the way a judge instructs a jury before sending them out to deliberate. You have just been deliberating for 4 episodes. You may not have noticed. The final Gideon section leaves you in a specific kind of discomfort. A boy burned down a house with his family inside. A mother lied to him about it. They stand at the ruin and laugh not because it is funny, but because they have no other language for what they are. We're fucked up, Gideon, aren't we? Emma says. And Gideon, who does not feel things, smiles a real smile. You are not supposed to know what to do with that. Bannister's legal training taught her something that most novelists have to learn the hard way. Precision, when applied to human damage, creates more space for empathy than sentimentality ever does. She does not tell you that Emma is a good mother trapped in an impossible situation. She shows you the 39 hundredths of a second when Emma wondered what it would be like if her son fell, and then she shows you every scar on Emma's body. That explains why. She does not tell you that Liam died a hero. She shows you a concussed man mistaking his son for his brother, and she shows you the 40 years of sacrifice and control and narcissism that made that mistake inevitable. She does not tell you that Sonny deserved to live. She shows you a gambler who came to die and instead knelt to help a stranger, and she leaves you to decide whether that one action outweighs the debts, the lies, the scratch card hidden in his pocket. The novel is, by design, a Rorschach test. Bannister has said as much. Strip away sentimentality, she explained, and see which characters the reader deems worthy of survival. The test is not about the characters. It is about you. Your reaction to Emma's hesitation, your judgment of Sonny's relapse, your willingness or refusal to call Liam's final act heroic. These verdicts are evidence, not of what these people were, of what you require from a human being before you will call them redeemable. The book does not answer that question. The book is not in the business of answering it. The book hands you the evidence and waits for you to notice what your verdict says about you. That is a lawyer's move, and it is the reason this novel, with its train station clock and its 5 broken strangers and its narrator who will not let you off the hook, lands harder than fiction that tells you what to feel. Because the verdict you just reached, the one you may not even know you reached, is yours, not the author's, not the narrator's, yours. The mouse returns to the platform. A newspaper lifts. Another train is coming. The world does not stop to let you finish deliberating.